Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's daily brief and recap. What can we say? Today is Wednesday. Wednesday. Tastes great. Wednesday is the 24th. Had a long conversation with site members today about options expiry and window dressing coming into the end of the quarter. So doesn't really surprise me too much to see conservative names are getting a little bit of a bid. Stocks that have been aggressively bid up here over the past month or two are maybe seeing a little bit of profit taking. And of course, we've got our big celestial event coming up here at the end of the month, which I kind of think is a big pivot for the market. So we've got that, and of course, into that event, what a coincidence, we've got COVID cases going absolutely ballistic. And what's worse is politicians are trying to basically ignore the situation, what really bothers me is what I'm actually hearing is the narrative that there's almost no way that this election in November can be trusted, that the results are basically being decided as fraudulent now. So that means to me that come November, December, there's going to be a bit of a big question as to whether the current leader of the United States actually acquiesces if indeed the election results go against him. And if he doesn't acquiesce, how ugly does the situation get? And that's what concerns me immensely here now. But it's their country, not mine. And maybe if there's a big nuclear war down in the States, we'll get a whole bunch of people migrate up to Canada, maybe thaw out all the Arctic, and maybe actually turn Canada into a half-decent country in the wintertime. That'd be kind of fun. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Only time will tell. As it stands, and especially for your conversation here with the sort of free YouTube audience, I like to generally just take a quick overview of sort of what the hell's going on in the broader market, then just make a comment or two about anything we're doing in particular in the market, and then quick note about Bitcoin and crypto, see if there's anything happening there. So, as I've been talking about for quite some time, I actually do like the idea of maybe some sort of crazy-ass fractal pivot here through this event window. And I don't know if it's going to look like this or not, but this is sort of my crazy theory. So you're kind of seeing that kind of behavior here. I think probably in through maybe the second or third week of July, this is going to be very, very choppy and messy with a ton of unknowns and uncertainties in here. So, strap on your seatbelts. Should be a pretty wild ride. Risk on, risk off, obviously with US dollar index up. That's a bit of a risk off vote, so you can see things like stocks. Fascinating how, stocks here are weak again, and they've actually confirmed now a double top breakdown with a move through the low there from the other day. That low was 30.2725, and today's low is 30.1975. So they've done a bit more technical damage here on the stock market. And as I said just a few minutes ago, fantastic analogy of a trader's life. Just an absolute perfect analogy. Basically, this trade setup all came in, tweeted it out, stuck the neck in the noose, said there was an inside bar failure. What's really cool about this too is our level 1 program is doing candlestick patterns right now. So and not only did we see this in the stock market a few days ago, but we just got a huge one in Bitcoin today. But really, really good example of an inside bar failure. And Had you taken this trade, it's like, oh, I'm so smart, I'm so stupid, I'm so smart, I'm so stupid. Oh, hey, look, I'm smart again. And yet nothing's really happened here. Right? It's just you're short and you're just sitting there short. Interesting to see momentum trying to push to new lows here. So we'll see whether momentum's going to be telling us to expect lower lows. As it stands right now, and sort of my conversation with the crowd on the site is I'm not actually looking for this to get going in earnest until at least Friday, right? Options expiry, all that kind of stuff. So yes, still now back to pointing down again. But like actually one of the short proxies I have on, it's just sort of floundering around and just sort of sitting there. So, kind of the general message I have to site members is, we do have a bank stress test that's supposed to come. It's supposed to hit the market tomorrow. So I do think that a bit of this selling is sort of sell the rumor, buy the news in case it's really bad news. But long and short of it here is this is still pointing down, and there's nothing really for me to do here in the short term. It's interesting too. We did have a long conversation on the site today about January barometer, and ironically enough, after this spring sort of cleanup, believe it or not, actually, I'm thinking the market can actually go to new highs here in July and August. Wouldn't that just piss a lot of people off? Mr. Barstool guy, he's going to go 100x long and make a pile of money. Woohoo! All right, so back to our story. Excuse me. As I sort of said, it looks to me like risk off is carrying the day. Risk on's looking very heavy here. I wonder whether yesterday's move in the crude was just a nice FU stopwash. Break this top and now they dump. So I think I had said to you guys recently, I'll be just sort of watching how this develops. So this trade, boom, you're gone. And now we're going to be hunting a massive, I guess it's an empire. It's an ugly one as sin. It's too bad. I was kind of hoping because earlier this morning we had the lows right there and it would have set up a really nice empire. Oh God, why does this stupid thing always do this? I have no idea how to fix this on the fly. Well, can't do it today. So I would, definitely with that gap from yesterday, this is what's called a doji gap setup. So if we break these lows, we're probably continuing our way right down to the 50% level. But if we're lucky, we can get counter trend rallies to come fill in the gaps, out up top, and maybe we can get a trade setup to follow. But we'll see what happens. Long and short of it here, along with the rest of the risk market, oil market's down. You often wonder when the stock market starts to go into freak out mode, whether people who are long a bunch of stock and might potentially have margin calls, whether they have to sell their gold stocks to offset that. And also remember too, a lot of gold stocks are actually in major indexes. So if they're dumping the major indexes, the gold stocks have no choice but to fall. The commodity itself, though, I think this is along the lines of they're selling everything. And also, too, you probably commodity indexes that gold is a part of. So, the bonds are enjoying a nice day. I don't know whether they've actually broken out here per se yet or not. Still looks like a range to me. But same sort of thing as the stock market. Have we really lost these lows? If we have lost these lows and this turns into a nasty bear ABCD, then I think this bull ABCD on the bonds fires. And there's our funny little gold, just sort of sitting there, spinning top. Doji on the gap higher Sunday night, Monday morning. Follow through Tuesday. That actually is a bullish confirmation of the breakout, so that's a good sign. Obviously this high, pretty important, 1788.80. Couldn't take it out yesterday. Took it out this morning, 1796.10. So, show me a new high and I'll show you a buy. That's a good sign. And as I said recently, I'm watching a big gold stock, Newmont, and I'd like to see it put in its third low. Maybe our gold pulls back, cleans up against these lows, and then turns up. If I get that same pattern in the Newmont, I might seriously consider trading that bond. I think I talked to you guys about that yesterday. So, gold bugs, gotta be happy. Not really my cup of tea, but nonetheless, bull market's a bull market's a bull market, so enjoy it, guys. If you are a gold bug, this is your day to shine. Probably more conversations along risk off. You can see yet another M trying to come in here on our relationship between the Russell 2000 and the Dow. In essence, markets favoring bigger stocks over smaller stocks. And no doubt about it, I can definitely feel the sort of that speculative inertia, the speculative and kind of a little bit nutso-ness. I mean, TRIers are trading warrants now and banging out just insane wins on these warrants. That is the definition of a speculative market if I've ever heard of one. So lots of little anecdotes, again, sort of, internal measures that his market's looking a little dangerous. And then finally, and this is kind of a funny one, this was one of my short proxies that I put on here recently. This is a semiconductor leveraged ETF. And I'm pretty bearish of the SOX index. It does not look bullish to me. It looks very heavy. So, in essence, I'm the type of guy when you get reload zones against lows, I like to buy. So it really shouldn't have surprised anybody that I went and picked up some of this. What was really fascinating about this story was, yesterday as the market was pressing higher, and we had things like in crypto and stuff, Ethereum was trying to break out to the upside, very sort of late cycle kind of stuff. This guy came right down to the actual low there and then just turned on a dime. So, I don't know whether the stock market has topped out yet or not. I think I've told you guys, I've been slowly accumulating short proxies. This is one of them, and, I'm up now back on the trade, but I told everybody today this is an island bottom. So I would not be surprised if we have to come right back down here and fill in these gaps before this thing really gets going in earnest. And that's kind of the market state. It's definitely risky. Like I said, we have sell signals in the stock market. And a lot of our sort of internal measures are saying, hey, be careful. So it really shouldn't surprise to see this kind of bottoming action on things like bear ETFs. In the corn in particular, and we've been sort of cautioning a little bit about this recently. I don't know how this range ultimately ends. I feel as though we really need to explore down into these tails, and because there's these lows and these lows, you're going to get these dumps. So this dump here comes into these lows, and then we clean up, and maybe we finally can dump into these lows and clean this level up. From an extension perspective, you can see 77 up to 8,200 would be probably realistic if we shit the bed here and just dump. That would be against this channel midpoint level, and again right into this tail. To me, that just makes sense. What I thought was really interesting about this chart was, like I said, our level level oneers are just now working on candlestick patterns. And just like we had there on the S&P 500, gee whiz, beautiful inside bar failure there yesterday. And what I would actually consider a trader's trade, you hit that inside bar. Sometimes these inside bars it's a head fake and we rally up and you're busted out. The S&P 500, we rally up, we test these highs, but we can't get through the top and then we fail. Or sometimes just right out of the gate, bang, and she just drops like a rock. So, this is a drop like a rock scenario. It just is what it is. What was fascinating about this is actually if you look at this price action, you can see it just so happened to be a reload zone off of this range. This is actually a pretty well-defined, what we call a triple top. 1, 2, 3. Boom, boom, boom. And Brian, how he loves 3 highs, 3 lows for his bot setup. So Very, very powerful failure level there. Um, I do find it interesting. We draw a whole bunch of uptrend lines and downtrend lines, and we've basically smacked right into some key levels here. So I don't know whether I'm looking for a hell of a lot of follow through here. Usually our rule, of course, is we don't really like to take short trades if you're thinking short on a trend line tag. If anything, you want to see market structure on the other side of this trend line to frame a short. And believe it or not, you see this range here. I wouldn't be surprised if we rally right back up into this area and probably kiss the underside of this level to give the pros the opportunity to get short from the level. So, just even over the short term, I might even be saying, what's a reload zone? What a coincidence. You can see that in essence, and I love when you get overlapping reload zones. So you can see this is still presenting itself as a trade level here going forward. And that's I actually like that thinking as well, because we've got this big CME options expiry event on Friday. And if I understand correctly, there's a whole bunch of forwards contracts listed on a whole bunch of these crypto exchanges that are all rolling over. So does it make sense that they keep the market relatively well bid through that event? I think so. And then once all that liquidity issue and derivatives issues, once that's all been sort of kicked down the road, then look out. Then I think the repricing event happens in earnest. So anyway, it is what it is. So, the weird part about the market right now is it's not, like I struggle to talk to you guys about new stuff on a daily basis when it's really just been the same message. And what's fascinating is looking at charts like this, where, we started this same conversation about this range heading into the halvening. And what did 2016 halvening ultimately look like? Does 2020 halvening event look like this? Clearly, it's not exactly the same. Choppy, choppy, choppy. But gee whiz, wouldn't that be perfect timing if we just dumped into here and completed this pattern, and then we can get on with the bull market? And that's I've been saying that all along. I mean, what I would really like to see is I'd like to see a nice dump into somewhere around 6,000-7,000, maybe back against all these lows, finish this fractal pattern, and, stock market dumps on, concerns around all the shit that's going on there, risk on, reprices itself, and we set a mark and we start the next leg. And this is taking forever to just sit here and do nothing. And it's frustrating as hell. There's just nothing to do here. Yeah, well, it is what it is. I think I've told you I've got some puts on the books as just insurance. Of course, got a ton of crypto on the books. So I would prefer a bull market and just keep taking the market higher. But if the market does break, like I said, I've got some insurance on the books. And the only other market that I was actually really interested in adding to positions, and not really adding because I don't have a short position, but I was really interested yesterday. We rallied right into a shorting level, painted a nice inside bar, and then you can see on the open, they went beep up through the top, busted the inside bar, and then broke her, fuckers. So because they took it to new highs, I looked at the option prices. Options went to new lows. So I don't know whether this is really the top. And it's driving me crazy. So as it stands right now, I'll be watching those options really closely. But what I probably would love to see is if we could get something like that. And again, probably if you look at this range, can we do reload zones off of there? So this is still definitely on my radar screen. I'll probably be looking at this in earnest over the next maybe week or two. Hopefully I can get in there. I don't know. Might leave me behind. I was quite surprised to see how Litecoin actually broke that recent pivot low that all these other guys could hold in here. And I've often thought as Litecoin as an awesome leading indicator. So obviously that doesn't bode well. So. Anyway, that is sort of your market summary. There's not a hell of a lot new to chat about here in like altcoin land if this stuff is looking like this. So, probably just leave the conversation at that for today. There's that poop index. We've talked lots about this. If this really was a bull, just take it up through the top here and you can see they're floundering. And actually, I thought this was so cool. Kevin's little name. There's always a bull somewhere. So great to see. If you hunt these W's and you have good fundamental drivers, you can find stories like this that even move up even though Bitcoin and all these perp indexes and stuff are moving down. It does happen. So just be sharp. Keep hunting. And, of course, remember what your number one job as a trader is. All right, everybody. I think we'll probably leave the video at that for today. All the best. Play from a position of strength. Don't take no wooden nickels. What other cliche can we throw at you? Always look twice before you cross the road. Don't step on the cracks because you'll break your mother's back. And, of course, have yourselves a nice day. All right, all the best, and bye for now.